Hey, 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 what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Kesha. Welcome to the Kesha Said It Show. Yes, we are back and ready to go. It's been a minute. Um, Life has been lifing. Like, it is what it is, right? Like, we move around, we vacation. I've talked about this several times where the hats we wear, right? The hats we wear consume our time. So it's good. It's not a bad thing, you know. It's just really making time. It always comes down to making time for what you want to make time for. So I hope everyone has been doing well. I'm so happy to be back in my element, bringing some topics to you. So today, what are we talking about today? Um, let's see. Today we're going to be talking about change. So you probably see it down on the ticker below. We want to talk about life's changes because one thing we know, nothing stays the same. But what we don't know is how that change will affect us. And it will affect us, but how are we going to accept it? Are we going to embrace it? Are we going to learn how to navigate through those transitions? What exactly are we going to do? So that's what I want to focus today's episode on. And just kind of chat it up with you guys about that. So, welcome, 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 welcome. As I said before, to everyone that's tuned in, those that are not tuned in, what are you doing? What are you waiting for? It's the Kesha Said It Show. I need everyone to invite a friend and have them watch this episode. Now, I will say before I get started and deep dive into our topic for today, um, it is, some content comes out very quickly. There's some consistency and then boom. So if you go back to the very first episode, which was about, oh wow, I can't believe it, a year and a half, maybe about 18 months ago, you'll see that there was this level of consistency. But now it's like, boom, here's an episode. Boom, here's an episode. So things change. Bing, bing, bing. Topic of today, right? And so I'm still, me personally, trying to navigate those changes. Since the creation of this wonderful podcast, I have been through several different things, positive, not so positive, lifing. And so I've had to learn how to navigate through some things. So bear with me. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get it going, right? And if you have not tuned in before, this is a hobby. This is not my full-time career. This is not the business that pays me. It is the passion that I love. So welcome again. Today's all about change. And what I want to do is talk about or explore personal growth, the topics of personal growth, resiliency, living in intention. These are all things I feel like I've talked about before in some of my episodes, but they were just like an episode on resiliency, an episode on being intentional. Now, I will say that most of the time, I do bring up intentionality a lot because I am a very intentional person. I don't believe in NPT, non productive time. I don't believe in non productive thoughts. I don't believe in anything that is non productive. So I am all about intentionality. And yeah, so you've heard me talk about that. So I'm your host. I'm Kesha. Hey, 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 hey. And today we're going to talk about some things that everybody faces, which is change. So whether it's a new job, it could be a breakup, it could be a relationship situation, moving into a new city, or, hey, simply entering a new stage in life. I feel like I'm doing some transition right now. I'm not about to give away my age, but it's a transition happening. And so they're inevitable. They're going to happen. You keep living, you're going to keep changing, you're going to keep evolving, and things are going to change. So, how do we navigate through them with grace and courage? All right, let's dive in. Why does change feel so hard? Any answers? Anything from the crowd? No? Okay. I believe change feels so hard because of biological wiring. Like the fear of the unknown, right? And my type A people out there, y'all probably understand exactly what it is I'm talking about or trying to speak to. So it's very hard to like, if you're a person that is intentional and is, very organized and like you have your plans for the day. Well, we know God ultimately has the plan, but our facade of our plans for the day, the month, the year, or how we want to live our life or the direction we want to go in living our life, right? We don't like that unknown factor. We don't like that X factor. What's going to come in and shift what I already got planned. Navigating through a crisis situation and what that looks like. What is a crisis situation? So, biological wiring, that is our first obstacle. That is why change is so hard. People get comfortable. Human beings are creatures of habit. Okay. We like routine. We get into routine. Now, sometimes routine, people will probably argue and say, no, I don't like routine. I like to mix it up. I like to shift it up. I like to do things a little differently. Okay. But probably 85%, don't quote me on stats because this isn't a data show. Okay. But I'm going to go with a good hard guess about maybe 80. I would say about 80 to 85% of people probably do like some sense of consistency, some sense of normalcy, some sense of knowing what that outcome is going to be. And then you have those that are risk takers. They're just like, bring it on. I'm ready. I could adjust. I can adapt. Another thing or the reason why change feels so hard is because of the emotional ties that we have to feeling stable. It's part of our identity, right? It's who we are. If I'm not that same person showing up every day, then who am I? And it becomes uncomfortable because then we have to dig into ourselves and say, oh, am I an imposter? Am I not really that person? Like, who am I? It toggles with our identity. And then, of course, the common responses to that is going to be resistance, denial, or over control. So some people may, okay, let's give a quick example. You're working, and now you've been doing this particular report for 2 years, this exact same way, and they're like, oh, we got a new computer system. This is how we're going to run this report now. These are the parameters. We're no longer looking at this. We want to take a look at that for these particular outcomes. And you're like, hold on, wait a minute, wait a minute. Like, I had this report down to a science. And here you are 2 years later saying, no, we're not looking at that anymore. We're going to shift perspective and we're going to take a look at it from this perspective. And you're like, oh my God, I have a sense of losing control right now. Um, so you're like, no, I don't want to deal with that. We also see a lot of this with, the technology era. So a lot of our parents are probably baby boomers or whatever, that generation before baby boomers. Maybe our grandparents are in that generation. I'm not quite sure what that one's called, but let's stick with the baby boomers. A lot of times when they were in the workforce, everything was on paper. You had paper trails, filing, you had people that they would hire specifically just for filing records, Um, and so now some of those baby boomers that are, maybe not afforded the privilege to be able to retire or just don't want to be bored and still have a job and work a full-time career. Now we've shifted to technology probably about what, 15, 20 years ago, where we just really started getting into it. But everything now is all about technology. You can't do anything outside of a computer. You know what I'm saying? It's the main force of communication. You go to the doctor, your medical records are electronic now. There's no, doctor writing in a chart. They're taking notes on an iPad or a laptop. So it's like that change is huge for our baby boomers generation. They struggle with it, right? They're in denial, they're resisting. Um, well, forget it. I don't want to work anymore. I was doing this to help y'all out, or I just don't want to sit at home and watch the daily soap opera. So I was gonna work. But guess what? Retirement's looking really good right now. And so they're like, forget it, I'm quitting. They retire because they're resistant to that change. But change is going to happen because not only do we need to evolve, the world is going to evolve with or without us. So, you know, I get it. I get it. It's very, very hard to get accustomed to something, but then all of a sudden, boom, bang, bing, things change. You may be thrust into a situation where you weren't thrust into before. And so struggling with those new parameters of your life, it's like, how do I still create me and have my identity while navigating that change? So I want to hear from you. Like, and I always say this on every episode. I want to hear from you. Some of you actually do send me messages, and that really warms my heart. But I want to hear from you and, give me your version of change and what you've had to navigate. Let's just say, within the last year of your life, can you identify any particular change or transition that you had to face or that you did face? And how did you overcome that? Did you ride the wave? Did you get on board? Did you get on the ship and make it happen? Did you say, you know what, the heck with this? I'm off. I'm not doing this. The life vest is gone. We're not doing this. I'm moving on from it. And it could be a relationship that is no longer suiting you. Now, we've talked about how to identify that in your own terms. That's a whole nother episode. You have to go back in the early part of the podcast. But let's just say that that is your thing. That is what you've experienced. How are you navigating that relationship? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship. It could truly be maybe a friendship, or it could be a siblingship, or a coworkership. It could be any type of relationship that is no longer, you've identified, suiting you and your needs. You're transitioning through that breakup. Um, Mindset shifts is what probably would help with the change that's coming or that has occurred in your life in the last year. We all, I'm not even going to say we all, a lot of us do like control, right? Because it gives us the ability to predict, okay? Predict what our outcomes are going to be. So that unknown is very uncomfortable for a lot of people. And so because of that, I can raise my hand. I like to know the outcome of certain things. And it does bother me when I don't. That X factor comes in and is like, what? Wait, what? Okay, wait, let me go back to the drawing board. I'm going to push through and navigate through this, but I wasn't expecting having to navigate that right now. And that's just life. You know what I'm saying? Life is going to give life, honey. It's going to give life. But we have to let go of that illusion of control, because ultimately we really don't have control over everything, every aspect, every compartment in our life. We don't have full control. I mean, we got to accept that, right? What about reframing? You hear that word? I love that word. Reframe. It's all about perspective, guys. Reframing the uncertainty. Okay. So we're going to take that change opportunity and kind of like flip it. It's not negative. We're going to see it as a positive. So what is it? It's an opportunity for growth, creating a new version of yourself that you didn't know you could be, um taking that mind frame and shifting that perspective, reframing how we see that change, not seeing it necessarily as a barrier. We want to see it as an opportunity for growth, an opportunity for adventure, an opportunity for exploration. What positiveness can come out of this particular situation? That's what we're going to do. And giving yourself the permission to grieve the old situation, whether it's that breakup, whether it's this new job. A lot of us can feel uncomfortable. I've recently made a shift in what I'm doing, and it's a lot. It's a lot to identify with. It's a lot to take on. It's a lot to kind of process and kind of understand. Is this for me? Is this not for me? Is this going to be a good fit for me? Is it not going to be a good fit for me? But going in knowing that you're going to be uncomfortable a little bit in the beginning, but you got to try to figure out what your normalcy is now going to be. How is this going to fit in my life? Right. So taking a look at those mindset shifts, and that's what they are: letting go of the old, kind of reframing that new uncertainty as an opportunity, reframing it into something positive, and then giving yourself permission to, grieve what has changed that is no longer. What can help you work through that particular position in your life? What would that be? Like, where do I start? I get questions a lot from individuals like, okay, well, you talked about intentionality, you talked about navigating through this change, but where do I start with that? Like, what does that look like? Right. So let me talk about some tips real quick. Let me take a drink of my electrolytes for the day. Journal and reflection. Some people may think this is so cheesy. To each his own, but those that don't, journaling is a way to really become one with yourself. Like it allows you to be completely vulnerable in that space and actually get things off of your chest and process them. You know, you may write something down in your journal on Monday and you close it up and you get really, really busy throughout the week. And you've already wrote down all of your intentions for the week. You've talked about how stressful your Monday was, some things that you want to, some outcomes you may want to see. And then by Saturday, you're like, oh, I hadn't journaled all week. Let me flip back and see what I was talking about. And then you'll go back and you'll say, oh, wow, I was crazy, crazy mad. Like Monday was a beast for me. And then you're like, but I got through it. Whoa. Okay. I just knew that Monday was going to turn into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but it didn't because you handled it. You did what you had to do, but it's a time for you to reflect. And I think it's great because you get to see what those positive, motivating things are that you have internally. Like you get to show that you're the boss. You're the boss of you. You're the boss of your emotions. You're the boss of your day. You're the boss of your journey, and you're navigating through those situations that you thought, I don't know if I could. So when you talk about change, it's like, man, on Monday you may be talking about we got this new I'm taking on this new job. This is my first day on my new job. And it's like, I don't know how that's going to go. And then 2 weeks later, you look back on that day and you're like, this is really a great opportunity. I love this job, or maybe you are like, I'm still working through that. I'm still processing it. I'm still trying to learn this, you know, um, whatever it may be. So I think journaling, even though a lot of people think it's cheesy, just give it a try. You never know where your journal will take you. And I always say that. Talking to people, therapy. And I know that in different cultures, that looks a little different for everyone because some cultures are not about, I'm not sharing my most vulnerable, my most interpersonal thoughts with a stranger. I mean, how are they going to help me? I'm the only one that can work through my problems situation. No. Okay, fine. Don't want a therapist? Find a mentor. Find a mentor. Find someone that you can identify with and have open conversations with them about how do I get to this point? Like, I admire this about you. I admire your ability to, um, whatever that may be. Talk to a mentor. How did you get through, if it is a new job or a new relationship, talk to someone that is recently maybe identified with that same transition or change and, get tips from them. Well, how did you navigate this situation? Find a mentor. I think mentoring is really good for those individuals that don't want therapy, that don't feel comfortable with talking to someone, or that does not have that go-to person, that may be an introvert and don't really, get down with a lot of people, or at least don't really feel comfortable sharing with a lot of people. So find yourself a mentor. Create a small routine during big changes. So, and I keep going back to, the low-hanging fruit, which is, a transition that probably most of us, if not all of us, have gone through, which is like a new career change or a new job or something like that. So through all the chaos, find you a small pocket of routine. What does that look like? Is it working out for an hour in the morning before work? Is it working out for 45 minutes after work? Is it going to your favorite coffee shop en route to work in the morning and getting your favorite latte? Is it taking your lunchtime to read the novel that brings you the most peace and the most joy, that brings you that comfort? Find a small routine when you're going through those big changes. Because one of the most powerful things we can do is shift our narrative. Okay. And I can say that mine has shifted several times. Um, Instead of, that perspective shift, once again, here we go. From my background, being in mental health, it's always like perspective shift is everything. We want to provide person-centered care. We want to provide trauma informed care. And so we always talk about shifting the way that we identify with things, shifting the things that we say, the words are powerful, guys, because they create that energy. They create that space in our head and how we see things and how we work through things. And so, why is this happening to me? Let's try that instead of asking, I mean, let's get rid of that because that places us in a victim role, right? Why is this happening to me? Like something is happening to me that should not be happening to me, as opposed to what is this trying to teach me? And I can tell you, probably the last 2 years, that has been my mantra. Every time I am faced with something that I really have to go through, that I really got to get on the other side of things and figure out, like, okay, here we go. Here we go. Here it is. It has presented itself on my table at this time. What is it trying to teach me? And I always, everybody's different. Some people have their own belief systems. That's amazing. That's awesome that but for me, my thing is, God, what are you trying to teach me? What are you trying to show me? Where do you want me? Let me be obedient and walk in that light with you. Let me walk down that path, but you have to show me what this is trying to teach me because I got to get something out of it, right? Everything is a teachable moment to me. Um, so that's what we want to do. I mean, I think those are some small tips, but they're very powerful tips. And it's all about embracing change. It's all about being open. Are you going to accept the challenge? You see the ticker right here. That's exactly why I put it on here today. Embracing change is not for the weak. It is hard. It's something that we have to remove one particular process of thinking or perspective on something and completely shift to something new. That's not comfortable, but we have to be open to it to accept that challenge and see, because this may be a great opportunity for us. So just, some little nuggets for you. But how do you rebuild after you've said, okay, I'm coming to terms with it. I'm embracing this change. What is it trying to teach me? What do I do? Where am I going? Okay. So we want to first and foremost, we got to identify with the purpose. So once you figure out, oh, this was meant to do this. Okay. I understand. Let me identify that. It may be something that is so foreseen in your future that you've thought about, but not really thought about. Okay. So what do I mean by that? I mean, you want that promotion, or you want that seat, 2 steps ahead of your pay grade. You want that seat at the table. You want to be involved more. You want to be a leader. And it just so happened to trickle across your path in a weird, obscene, kind of not foreseen way. It starts with those little, let's see if she can handle this. Let's see if he can handle that. You're seeing it as a change and a challenge. Like, what the heck? That person that is giving you these little challenges and these tasks are saying, I see something in this person that I think they would make a phenomenal leader. When I'm gone, because I'm 5 years from retirement, I might want to tell Joe, hey, I'm about to retire, dude. You ready? This is your time. This is your moment. Let's do this. But how do you process through and navigate those changes? You have to identify with that. You know that I do want to move up. I do want to be that person, or I do want that caliber of a relationship. What do I need to identify with in this moment so that I can get to that part or get to that point? What is it? Okay. Build that resilience through change. Build that resilience. Use that change. We're going to make mistakes. And some of us are not comfortable with making mistakes because we think we always right. You heard I said we, right? So I'm including myself. We don't like to be critiqued. We know that it has to happen, but it's not very comfortable for some of us. So, you know, we're going to make mistakes, but take them as a teachable learning moment for yourself. Build the resilience. How can I, when this happens again, come out on the other end a little bit easier? I already have the tools. I've been through it several times. I have the tools and I know what I need to succeed. How can I come out on the other end, but it not feel so stressed, not feel like so much pressure on my shoulders right now? So building that resilience through change Absolutely. That is how you rebuild after a significant transition, after a significant life change, is embracing it and accepting it. But also, you've built that resiliency. How can if you got a friend or you got a cousin or you got somebody that you intertwine with, they come to you and they say, "Hey, look, this is going on in my life," right? I have a friend that this has recently happened to recently, and it's like, how can I support others through those type of transitions? What can you do? Because we know that transitions strip away what is familiar to us. That's our safe space. That's what we've been accustomed to for so long. We're comfortable, but it's also a blank canvas to rewrite that narrative, to rewrite that story, to rewrite that outcome, to see where my new journey is going to take me. It's almost like an adventure. How can we support others to be able to see that through the anxiety of a change or a natural life transition? What can we do? How? I want to hear from you. I want you to tell me if you're currently experiencing or if you know someone that you're supporting through a huge transition or life change right now. So, like I said, I always ask for you guys, bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. And some of you I hear from, some of you I don't. But I know at some point in our life, you will either be supporting someone or you will be going through your own major life transition. So, I want to hear from you. But keep in mind, we're not perfect. We're not. And life is gonna life. Life is gonna do what it wants to do, when it want to do it, how it want to do it. But the key is identifying, how can I grow from this particular situation? How can I grow? What can I get from this particular situation to prepare me for my next big situation? Because we know it's coming. We know that it's there. It's going to come. Have a mantra for your day, have affirmations are amazing to me. I said words are powerful. The strength, they seem very minute, but the strength that they carry is huge. So using your words of positivity every morning and affirming that I am going through something, what can I do to make this a positive experience for myself? Because life is already too hard on its own, right? So taking those negative things and flipping them, reframing them into something a little more positive. Like, what can I do? Like, today's going to be great no matter what. I always think about, no matter what today brings, at the end of the day, there's others that are struggling even harder than I am. There's other people that have just got the worst news of their life. And fortunately, that wasn't me today. Not to say it won't be me tomorrow or next week or a year from now. But for today in this space, it could be worse. It could be worse. Now, that may not always be the most appropriate affirmation, but a lot of times it does apply. And I know that at the end of the day, hopefully, by God's grace, I will push through whatever challenges I had at work, whatever challenges I had in my ancillary relationships, and I have my husband and my kid at the end of the day. So it will be okay. So find what your affirmation is. Find out what your encouragement is. Find out what will help you mind shift. Change that perspective to something positive, because you don't want to live in a negative space. It's not good. So I want to place a call to action on everyone out there. If you don't want to journal, as I mentioned, you think it's cheesy, do the affirmations. Do something to reflect at the beginning and at the end of your day. Phone a friend. Phone that one person that you trust that you could possibly utilize as a mentor, just so that you can get it off your chest, see a different perspective, things of that nature. So that's all the time we have for today. I hope these little nuggets, if anyone out there is dealing with some kind of huge life change or transition, I hope these little nuggets can give you just a tad bit of support and perspective. And if it didn't, that's okay too. But I hope you watched all the way through. Listen, change is hard at first, it's messy in the middle, and gorgeous at the end. That's a quote that I also use in my daily mantras very frequently by Robin Sharma, and I love it. So just think of those words the next time you're dealing with a huge life transition or change. Always remember, change is hard at first, messy in the middle, and gorgeous at the end. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Kesha Said It Show, and I'll be back with another episode. Peace.